the people, points the judges, 6 judges, 8-member court. 8-member fully independent court. Oh gosh, that sounds terrible. All right, my friends. So we will leave it there. MAGA Hat sent this one in talking about Nikki Haley and that she's not a good person. And Crash says, Rob, we, U.S. Intel, has more ears than a potato head. We hear it all. We just choose what to act on and what not to act on. And I think that is very true, right? I mean, what is all this infrastructure for? Why do we spend trillions of dollars on all of these intelligence agencies and they have no intelligence? What? Give me a break. I think they've got plenty of intelligence. But like Crash, some things just serve them, some things don't. So, okay, my friends. So we are going to wrap it up. We'll do a quick refresh and then leave it there. We got Bonnie's here. Oh, we do have some comments here. Nathan is sharing this one with the link. 3 Girlies has an update on the car. Let's get a quick update. Says, here's the update. I got the car this morning. I took it to an abandoned lot so I could take my own pictures. It has heated seats and a remote start too. Woo. Just had it inspected. Mechanic is super happy too. He says it looks good. Thank you all so much. Your help and prayers are overwhelming. What is more, this is the first time I've qualified for a loan on my own. Look at that. No cosigner. I feel like a grown-up. Better than the first time I registered my own car with no one else on the registration. If you all only knew how much this means to me and the girlies, I wish we weren't so far away. I could give you all a hug. Again, thank you. Look at that. There we go. That's awesome, man. That looks awesome. And so shout out to the 3 Girlies household. We got another photograph of the inside. Woo, good. They're back on the road, man, at the 3 Girlies household. How cool is that? So we're super excited to hear that. So 3 Girlies, what a great update. Beautiful ride. Looks very safe. Looks like it's got everything you need. And looks nice. Looks like a nice ride. Very nice. Remote start too is nice because I think it's a little cold up there, right? Like you guys are going to have some coldness coming in. So boom, heated seats and a remote start. Warm those tushies up on the way to school, on the way to work, wherever you're going. Amazing. And so we're glad that you are situated, 3 Girlies. We're glad it worked out. And thank you for sharing it with us. We love it. We love that you're able to make it happen. And congratulations. Super, super awesome. Lots of love coming in on the chat. Everybody's very happy, of course. We love 3 Girlies. He says, that's great. Yeah, Bonnie says, yes, it is. Super sweet ride. Yay for 3 Girlies. Congrats from JC. We got Political Mom is here. Christina's sending in hearts. Bob Schwartz says, warm those fannies. Karen O says, Candace Owens supporting Nikki. Well, I think she supported her for president of the state of Israel, right? Samantha Richardson says, love this community. Yeah, Kevin, so do I. Kevin Hopper says, awesome. Super awesome. Yeah, and 3 Girlies, shout out. We're super grateful that you shared that with us. We're glad that it worked out. Yeah, it's cold over there. Bun warmers are great. That is great. Very, very cool. Very glad to see it. Spud says, Rob, as I've told you before, Hochul wants to consider hate speech a communicable disease so she can put people in concentration camps. Otherwise, she wouldn't be appealing an already ruled unconstitutional quarantine regulation. Kathy can't read a teleprompter either. Well, I think they just do things that are going to make them get reelected. Like, so she's in New York. She's got a bunch of Democrats who love this type of stuff. And I'll probably donate a ton of money to her. Like, think about New York as an incubator, right? Like, they incubate stuff there, get it launched, and then they try to roll it out to the rest of the country. They did the same thing with COVID. Nathan is sharing this article talking about Facebook apologizes about a real name, victory for drag queens, as Facebook apologizes for a real name policy. Link there. Elliot says, you may have seen this in the chat yesterday, but just in case, the scope of the prosecution disagreement you were wondering about was raised in November 1st hearing from Lawfare. It says Blanche then points specifically to the position of the special counsel's office that the National Archives is not part of the prosecution. Blanche tells Cannon that the motion to compel will focus on communication between the special counsel's office and our White House and other executive.
I think it's not a tab anymore. You have to, underneath their name, the little arrow with their name, you click on that. You know how that it shows their name and it shows like it's not really an arrow, but just like a
He says, remember, these people
greater than sign.
Yeah, this is a Georgia lawmaker, passed out drunk, screaming at people. That's her.
I don't think it's a tab anymore. I've been noticing lots of changes on YouTube as well.
Coming
things not being where they normally are.
To support
like literally every phone I own
is sharing this one.
Switches to different accounts in a different way.
Kettles and fridges are
tilted.
As NHS trials AI to spot patients at risk of needing hospital care.
Nice job last night, guys. That was a hell of a job. What a catch. Fucking a block and a half foot away.
Reach out to patients to stop the situations from escalating. So they're going to monitor you to make sure your health is safe. Bonnie shared this one. Hunter wants
reboot that shit, Jared.
Trump and Bill Barr. I've got that one queued up, probably for later, Bonnie. So thanks for the link on that. Carrie says European reporters video of Biden literally sliding off Air Force One. I saw that too, Carrie B, and I wasn't sure if that was accurate or not. So I know Simone put that one up. I think they said he was in Poland, but I'm pretty sure he's in California right now. And yeah, like this. So it looks like something's falling off Air Force One, but yeah, this is a member of the president's staff from February 2023. Yeah, it didn't look real to me. So take it with a grain of salt. I think we would have seen something, and I think he was in Poland or something, right? So it just didn't look like it was accurate. But yeah, but anyways, it is going around. Bonnie says this one from New York Post says Representative Taleb is part of a hidden Facebook group glorifies Hamas. Oh, that's nice. Well, was she censured? I think.
Yeah, she was.
She joined the Facebook group. Yeah, I think she was censured, but she wasn't hauled down into the well, right? So that's nice of her. Another member of the squad, and we'll see if there's any recourse for her. Very unlikely to be. We got 51K was sharing that one from Simone Ateba. You got that one. Thank you for that one, 51K in the house. I appreciate you sending that one in. Yeah, and Rashida was censured, says Bonnie. And I remember that. Indeed. Okay, so my friends, it is a beautiful Wednesday. What's up, Elliot says, yeah, New York finally rolled out Cuomo. Jason says, one question. Does she now know before the American people that Newsom will be in Biden's place in the race? I don't know. Maybe this is the handing of the baton, Viva Maga says, congrats on the new car for the three girls.
Be right back, guys.
Congrats. He says, where do I send the bacon scented air freshener? Yeah. Do they make those? Maybe they should. And it looks like he says we got a new chat. Let's see. Don't know if I got it or not. I think we did. From Simona Taba. Okay, so we will leave it there, my friends. It is a beautiful Wednesday. The Antikiss is at 2.8 miles per hour now on the treadmill. It's pretty good. And so it is a good idea to get out, get a little bit of movement in, and to see what else is percolating on the day. Of course, we will be back here later tonight to do it all again. We're going to have a bunch of stuff queued up. So I think we have a lot. I've already started saving links, and I can't remember what they are right now, but it's mostly the same stuff. Oh, mistrial motion. So in the New York civil fraud case, the petition case, Trump's defense filed a motion for a mistrial, which I'm excited about. So I'm going to get my hands on that, and then there will be much more to attend to. And so it is a beautiful Wednesday. And my friends, I hope you're having a great day and a great week. We have a few hours until we're back here to get into it again. And so until then, get out there, get after it, and make it a great day. I'll see you right back here soon. Bye-bye.
let's get the fuck out. Oh, what happened that ended? I did. We'll find something else to wash. Ay, ay, ay. I gotta get caught up in some shit today too. Probably not gonna be a You in here, Anna? Jared, I got something to send you. It's good. I ain't gonna do it till I get stopped. We'll listen to Russell on the way in.
And when legacy media uptakes it, this is a story about Iran and speculation and a sort of $10 billion
media that the US is about to waive, issue a new waiver in Iran that will allow Iran to access $10 billion. Why, when, how in future?
I think you certainly shouldn't expect me to comment on speculation on social media, and I will decline to do so. Go ahead, and then we'll wrap it up.
Is it true?
I think I just answered it, or declined to answer it.
Oh, we're not having that. And there's a distinction between social media and independent media, I would say. Like, we've tried to do our very best to ensure that the information we give you is undergirded by decent facts. We fact check it and not the kind of Reuters fact checking that's got curious financial ties, or the Facebook fact checking that ultimately appears to be funded in unusual ways. We'll be telling you more about that over the coming weeks. And yeah, sure enough, the next day, legacy media report Biden admin renews sanctions waiver, giving Iran access to $10 billion from Iraq. Extraordinary given the escalating tensions. It's almost as if war from all angles is beneficial to the truly powerful interests. Meanwhile, independent media is further censored, like Mint Press, which is a sort of a UK-based online media organisation, has been demonetised by YouTube, presumably because they've said something about the current conflict in the Middle East that whoever runs YouTube don't agree with. Remember that
Not sure who that is.
YouTube is part of the Trusted News Initiative, includes the BBC, Facebook, a group that decide when something is disinformation and misinformation, the same way that YouTube used the WHO to provide their community guidelines when it comes to health matters. The Trusted News Initiative ensure compliance in other areas. Hey, we're still on YouTube right now, so I shouldn't be being so critical. So I'm grateful to all of you that are watching on that platform. But I do need to ask you to join us over on Rumble. You've just seen now, in spite of what you've been told, it's not just like a sort of a crackpot lunatic hellhole for denizens of the conspiracy theory world, although we do like to discuss the odd conspiracy theory. Chief 411 says free speech is becoming criminalized. I'm not your buddy guy. A $2 tip there. Did you see the FBI leak where they're classifying anyone who vaccines, refuse to wear a mask, or religious as far-right extremists? I said it before and I said it again, and I'll say again, they're commies. That's nice. Thanks for the couple of dollars. Kate, let's go. That hat is driving my attention deficit disorder nuts. Is it new? Is it fleecy? It looks fuzzy. I like the neutral colour with the blue action. You will never know the details of my complex hat. That's the simple truth of the matter. Now, we're going to talk in a minute about that manhunt that took place after someone was alleged to have assaulted a police officer on January the 6. They go for it, man. There's like about 4 or 5 agencies hunting this dude. Also, someone commented earlier, you wanted to see about the return of mask mandates in Australia. The legacy media over there are not having it. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on over to the home of free speech. It is a truly independent space, no affiliation, new movements, independent media leads to independent politics, which leads to revolution and change. I mean, peaceful, of course. We will not advocate violence, not under any circumstances. In fact, our opposition to war is absolute. Self-protection, yes, under all circumstances, but aggression, oh man, where's it going to lead? Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the description, join us over on Rumble. Now, this is that manhunt.
Oh yeah, I know you're
dude
about.
who's alleged to have assaulted a police officer is getting pursued by, I don't know, about 10 agencies. There's the FBI.
That big girl with the rapper dude.
An all-out manhunt tonight.
The bow watches all the time.
New Jersey town, just 40 miles southwest of New York City, after this man, wanted in connection to the attack at the Capitol on January 6, evaded arrest. Gregory Yetman, fleeing on foot into the wooded area near his home. Police searching from the sky and on the ground. According to USA Today, Yetman is suspect number 278 AFO, wanted for assault of a federal officer, pictured at the Capitol in these photos on the FBI's website.
Bill Burr.
In an interview earlier this year, Yetman indicated he was at the Capitol that day, but said he did nothing wrong. The FBI leading the multi-agency manhunt in the town of Helmetta.
Multi-agency?
Officers
For a misdemeanor, multi-agency manhunt.
Moving through backyards, armed with long guns and canines.
Long guns and canines.
There were officers running through everybody's yards, asking questions. Even though the sun has gone down, we can still see Joint Terrorism Task Force agents going door to door.
Bit heavy, isn't it? What did he do, this guy? Look, they're doing worse things like in the Senate themselves fighting each other in there. How dare you on January 6th come there, cause all that trouble. Right, I'll do you son of a bitch, I'll elbow you in the kidneys. They're fighting in there anyway. All that mad corruption. It seems to me that they're making a clear example. If you want to oppose power, if you want to protest, if you want to come together with your fellow Americans and oppose the establishment elites, then the SWAT team are coming for you. Let me know in the chat if you think this is about making an example for him. Yes, if you do. No, if you don't. It's about making an example of this guy, what it seems like to me. Anti-terror squads, canines, guns, even questions. They're all saying yes over on Locals. Press the red button, join them over there. It's a lovely little crew. We do Bible readings, we do meditations. We've done one for a while. I know we did one yesterday. Yeah, we join the community. We're trying to make each other well in this crazy world. Over in the Rumble chat, yes, says Disco Duck. I'm not your buddy guy. Yes, Hellcat164. Yes, Hello. Yes, Lexeroni. Big yes, Central Scrutinizer. You're all saying yes. Balios. Yes. And then one, I think, is a bot saying don't take the vaccine. I think I've been pretty clear on that subject. Then there's lots of mad stuff going on. It's a live chat stream. There's a lot of craziness. Hey, listen. Respect your free speech, right? We love your free speech. Speak freely over there in that chat. We love you. Speak freely over there in the Awake and Wonder chat. Because when you are divided, it's very easy to control you. And the left that were complaining about censorship, like, well, no, excuse me. When the left were saying there is no censorship a little while ago, and now acknowledging censorship is a thing. Right, because it shifted, but then there are people on the right that are saying no, you do need a little bit of censorship. But where do you stand on free speech? Are you a free speech absolutist? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. While we look at this conversation between Tucker and Glenn Greenwald, who expose right-wing censorship occurring on the current Hamas-Israel war after 3 years of censorship on the subjects of COVID and Ukraine, which is wrong. Does either of your American parties really believe in free speech, or both simply favour speech for themselves and the censoring of their enemies? Yes, says Carl Ryan. Yes. Just yeses and a few fuck yeses over there. River deep, mountain high. Yes. Here's the news? No, here's the effing news. Stay with us, and by the way, if you've got any ideas for stories you want us to cover, post in the chat and we'll cover it. And no more talk of all these nipples, because I will not show you anymore. You've seen the last of these. Here's the news? No, here's the effing news.
Here's the news.
No, here's the fucking news.
Tucker and Greenwald exposed that the right is now pro-censorship when it comes to the Middle Eastern war. We know that the left are pro-censorship because of the last 3 years of COVID and Ukraine censorship. So, does either party believe in free speech anymore? Today we are discussing the legacy media and both political parties' adverse reaction to your free speech and your free thought. This comes off the back of a brilliant conversation between Glenn Greenwald and Tucker Carlson, where they talk about the escalating Middle Eastern tension. Now that's created a kind of aptitude and even acceptance of censorship on the right that previously was not there at all. Does being pro-free speech always mean being pro-speech that you're opposed to, willing to listen to alternative and opposing ideas that you're explicitly against but accept that in principle you have to hear? Let's have a look at them talking about it, and then let's look at the normalization of censorship that's taken place across the world in the last few years and has led to a spate of legislation, cancellation, shutting down of dissent, and normalizing the unpersoning, cancelling, de-financing and control of ordinary citizens and entire political movements. What's so terrifying to me, though, is that the right, the American political right, which really was this kind of weird transformation that's happened over the past decade, has become the lone defenders of the First Amendment. They've abandoned that in the last month, like instantly. So I think you could say, I strongly support Israel. I strongly dislike Hamas. I'm rooting. Maybe I think we should commit troops to the region. I mean, whatever. You can have any view you want. However, American citizens have a right to express their opinion. Period. And that supersedes any other event in any other country. It's like that's a core right. And I don't hear many.
I got something to send you. The Anna sent me, Jared. Let me do it real quick once I get going here.
I mean, there are people who have built their careers, Tucker, over the last 5 to 6 years, standing up and saying, we can't have cancel culture, we can't have censorship, college students aren't entitled to feelings of safety, we don't censor in order to protect people from views they find threatening, mocking the notion that minority groups are vulnerable and we have to censor in order to protect them, turn on a dime and now become the leading voices saying, because American Jews feel unsafe, that's valid in a way that, say, claims from Black people or LGBTs or Latinos aren't valid, and because of that, we need to censor.
Well, principles are expensive in the end. These principles and values ultimately might mean personal or ideological sacrifice. In fact, if it doesn't involve that, it probably isn't a principle. It's probably a kind of tribalist alliance map, where you stand on that ideological musing in the chat below. Let's see how in the last few years censorship has been normalized on the left. It created a kind of new political movement, and to tell the truth, I feel like I'm part of it, where it's, I don't care anymore whether you think you're left or right. What I believe in is your acceptance of other people's right to organize their own community and say what they believe in. And I don't agree with harmful speech or hate speech. Those things are abhorrent to me. I do agree with the view of people that I'm opposed to. Otherwise, that means you don't agree with free speech. Let's get into this in some detail. It's true that during wartime, governments sometimes censor and restrict liberties, including on the basis of ideology, race, and religion. But after governments have done so, societies almost always regret what occurred. After 9/11, the FBI abused its powers and entrapped Muslims. After Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered the rounding up of Japanese Americans. These are moral stains on our history. Keeping military secrets is one thing. Demanding censorship of even ugly, awful, and offensive speech is another. People are saying revolting things. They must remain free to do so, not just because the First Amendment requires it, but also because talking back to hatred is ultimately the only way to overcome it. And while the suppression of free expression always starts with the least popular speech, it never ends there. Yes, it does seem, just on my experience in the last few years, that certain figures were taken out of the culture, but over time that has escalated to
if you get that, Jared,
more ideas, and it's been a kind of expanding remit of ideas and speech and individuals that can be censored and shut down. Have you noticed that yourself? And in a way, even though free speech necessarily means hearing speech you don't agree with, that's an easier sacrifice to this
I did not know
alternative, the ongoing implementation of ever-increasing
Always just call it
censorship,
squirrel's
particularly
nest.
when you suspect from movements of power elsewhere in the world that there's a desire to centralise authority. I'm talking about legislation for censorship, online safety bills, the bill in Canada, the bill in Ireland, EU's proposals, the introduction of CBDCs that primarily seem to be beneficial because
I texted you some.
and shut down. I suppose taken in context with the apparent agenda to increase authoritarianism, this increase in censorship via challenging free speech on the basis of hate speech is a trend that has to be observed. And I suppose it's surprising, isn't it, that people that have built their career around it, that were determined that free speech was everything, suddenly abandoning it. That's curious, isn't it? A month ago, France banned all pro-Palestinian demonstrations in the country. On the same day, Germany banned a pro-Palestinian protest group. In the UK, the Home Secretary instructed police to consider taking unspecified measures against such actions as chanting slogans and waving a Palestinian flag. In the United States, such measures would clearly violate the Constitution. Such state suppression of political speech is anathema to American values. But in the United States, too, our commitment to free speech is being tested. Within hours of the attacks, a number of Harvard student groups signed a letter placing blame for all violence in the region on Israel alone. The apartheid regime is the only one to blame, it read. Bill Ackman, a billionaire hedge fund manager, demanded that Harvard release the names of all the student members of those groups so that he could compile a hiring blacklist for his CEO friends. Someone on Twitter compiled such a list himself, called the Terror List. Later, a truck began circling the Harvard campus with digital billboards displaying the names and faces of students alleged to have signed the statement.
I do, but I'm running late today.
Harvard's leading anti-Semite. Websites popped up listing student members' names, pictures, social media profiles, class years, hometowns.
That adds about 15 minutes to the trip, and right now I'm getting there
the Department of Justice was investigating
right at 1 o'clock
like
Eastern time. So
the Harvard students weren't faced real-world retaliation for their views. An NYU law school student saw a job offer received for expressing a sentiment similar to the one in the Harvard student group letter. NYU Student Bar Association voted to remove the student as president. The Philly Voice fired a sports writer for tweeting solidarity with Palestine always. Do you recall at the beginning of the ascent of Jordan Peterson, they said what's happening on campuses now will spread to the culture, and you'll start to see this tendency towards cancellation and enforced speech and prohibition of speech. And it was obviously, you all know how Jordan Peterson is regarded in the culture. Some of you now, because of Jordan Peterson's position on this war, might have changed your perspective on him. But I feel the principle that Jordan Peterson was talking about was essentially free speech and refusing coercive speech. Now we're in a position where we're sort of normalizing cancellation. We're normalizing actions that don't seem to have due process behind them at all. It's just like these people signed this list. I don't know. Wouldn't you be happy to be friends with someone who is pro-Palestine or someone that's pro-Israel? Is that for you a line? I noticed that this got exacerbated in Trump. It was like a kind of joke thing. Oh, what to do with your relatives that are pro-Trump at Christmas? And already for someone my age, that was an exaggeration and an amplification of the ordinary tensions that were in any family. That any family would have people that were a bit conservative and some that were socialist, unless you're in a very particular community where everyone's a docker or works in a coal mine or something, then you live in a very sort of insular, tribalised community. But it was accepted that we didn't need to be so opposed to one another that we wanted the government to step in and censor speech on our behalf. Like when you show your kid a movie and it's like, oh, this is going to be a PG movie or a 12 movie. You think, well, this movie, I was thinking particularly of Little Shop of Horrors, shouldn't be a PG movie, it's too crazy. Then I think, well, I am still in charge. I can just stop my kid watching this movie if I want to. We have power at the level of the individual. We have power at the level of the community. I wonder what is lost by empowering the state and other agencies to shut down, in particular, free speech on our behalf, just because in this instance we happen to agree with it. There's certainly been a lot of things said about me lately that I wish had been shut down, let me tell you, but hey, free speech. All of this is legal in the United States. Much of it is protected speech, but it's hard to deny, at least without moving goalposts, that the backlash is as clear an example as one can find of cancel culture. The purpose of exposing and punishing each of them personally is the same as when left-wing activists dox and shame their enemies to make anyone who thinks of voicing even moderate dissent, such as criticising the scale or conduct of Israel's military response, think twice lest they be punished too. Meanwhile, the same publications that have dismissed and denied the reality of government-funded, government-demanded and government-coerced censorship are raising the alarm about widespread censorship of progressive voices on social media platforms. themselves. It's one thing we can agree on, that we all want to be healthy and stronger, and that's why we use Field of Greens. And it's finally here. The fieldofgreens.com Black Friday sale is on, and it's incredible. Right now, you can get 30% off when you use the code VIP. Guys, I love Field of Greens, and so many of you have been seeing incredible results. More energy throughout the day. I'm energized. Skin looking healthier. Digestion better than ever. My stomach, hey, wait a minute, it's magnificent in there. Hairs and nails are growing faster and look healthier, and overall, I feel better and more able to participate in reality. I hereby pledge to you that this will be one of the best things you've had to your life for better health. Don't miss this massive sale. You get up to 30%, that can't be right, 30% off your order. That's an incredible discount, isn't it? 30%. Visit brickhouserussell.com and use promo code VIP for up to 30% off. So go to brickhouserussell.com and use the promo code VIP for 30% off. Let's get back into this. In its story on the censorship of pro-Palestinian voices, the Washington Post expresses great skepticism of big tech and sympathy for the people censored. The exact opposite of how it treated the issue when it was non-leftists who were censored. In fact, the Washington Post, like most news media, spent years denying that censorship was occurring, even as they called for more of it. To be sure, there has been a concerning increase in demands for censorship and blacklisting since the October 7th Hamas attacks. Government officials are threatening to defund colleges for things students have said and are even demanding their expulsion. The state university system of Florida incorrectly warned that calls for Israel to be wiped off the map are criminal activity. And political officials, including the Attorney General of New York, are demanding greater censorship by social media platforms to stop the spread of violent rhetoric. I'm reminded of how the Section 702 bill introduced as part of the Patriot Act after 9/11 is used to spy on American citizens using skullduggery and manipulation. And they've spied both on Black Lives Matter activists and participants in January the 6th. When it comes to the deep state, when it comes to real power, what we regard as extreme and polarized position, like the example I just gave, Black Lives Matter, January 6th, that seems pretty extreme in American political culture. Well, they'll be subject to the same kind of exploitation of surveillance and, I would assume, censorship and other measures of control that I strongly believe will be introduced if people aren't able to have open conversations about very contentious and in particular incendiary subjects like Palestine, Israel. Unless people can have an open discourse about that without being censored, unless you can have a workplace where people...
I'm getting a flood of followers on Rumble all of a sudden. I don't know what it is. I literally every 15 minutes that they're at another person is...
say, well, we're not doing that, but we're going to create more polarity, more tribalism, and ultimately in so doing, you empower centralized authority, which is garnering authority at an extraordinary rate in a bunch of ways that aren't initially obvious, but like the WHO proposed treaty is something you should look at, the legislation of around the world, the increasing surveillance powers, the tendencies towards censorship. And many people believe, and I'd love to know what you think about this, that free speech is the fundamental right, because without free speech you can't have free thought, you can't have open communication, you can't have real relationships. You have to live in a kind of ongoing perpetual dread that what you believe might have you unpersoned at some point if you were ever to express it. That's a real good way of exerting control. Considering the truth, that's the kind of tyranny and authoritarianism that scares me more than the last iteration of militarized tyranny, although I'm actually scared of all forms of dictatorship and tyranny, actually, I suppose. But this is what seems to be the trend. A kind of sanitized, shutting down, an agreement in principle that that sort of speech is unsayable, that sort of person should be cancelled. I think once you legitimize that, then you've essentially empowered the establishment to kind of do what it wants. But the alarm that the news media are raising is in striking contrast to the indifference at best and hostility at worst to the evidence of governmental and non-governmental censorship of a variety of disfavored views and voices relating to climate change, COVID, Ukraine, and the Biden family's influence peddling. For years, the left has insisted that cancelling, blacklisting, shadow censorship were legitimate actions to punish people with unsavoury views, protect safety, and fight disinformation. Now that the left may be on the receiving end of these tactics, they argue what many of us have been saying all along. Censorship causes far more harm than good. But the left is yet to acknowledge its double standards. Why is that? So everyone's just swapped sides, so no one actually cares about anything at all. I mean, isn't that worrying? Doesn't that suggest that we're not going to be able to find a way for, let's just take the example of American democracy, because it's such a significant one, to not bypass, but to get through the 2024 election cycle successfully. It seems that at best there's just going to be ongoing mudslinging by either side, and isn't that the problem that's been in our culture since at least the build up to 2016, and it's getting worse and worse, and no one's doing anything about it. There are no solid principles where you say, well, at least we all agree on that. Increasingly, that's disappearing from our culture. The simplest explanation for the left's hypocrisy on censorship is simply that they favour free speech for themselves and censorship for their enemies. Evidence of this can be found in virtually every mainstream news article about the Twitter files. Last December, The Guardian even acknowledged that the Twitter files showed censorship, but that such censorship should be welcomed because it was against the political right. Like so much to do with American politics, opined Guardian's tech columnist Alex Hearn, the files fall flat if you view the American right as an outlier. If you have rules against election misinformation and only one party engages in this systematic campaign of election misinformation, it's not an unreasonable outcome for one party to be the focus of moderation efforts. But that's simply not the case. We know that both parties engage in misinformation. Misinformation just used to be called propaganda or campaigning or media manipulation or whatever you want to call it. It's simply not a uni-party issue. For years, Wired magazine insisted that misinformation and disinformation resulted in real-world harms, including the election of Trump, and that more social media censorship was needed. But now, Wired says it's censorship, not misinformation, that's causing real-world harm. Palestinians claim social media censorship is endangering lives. The headline of Wired's piece denouncing social media censorship of Palestinians in Gaza and around the world. TechCrunch dismissed the Twitter files read by Barry Weiss on the shadow banning of disfavoured voices because it only shows examples of moderation actions that affect a handful of conservative fringe accounts. The so-called fringe accounts included that of Stanford University professor Jay Bhattacharya, a leading global thinker on how to respond to pandemics. But such one-sidedness should be problematic for all journalists who claim to be fair and for advocates of free speech. After all, it's not advocacy of free speech if the free speech is just for your team and not for your opponents. Most people on the left do not appear to realise that they are contradicting themselves by lamenting censorship of pro-Palestinian voices. Today, former President Barack Obama called for a respectful dialogue between people who disagree on Israel. But just 1 year ago, Obama urged greater social media censorship of views with which he disagrees and called for the US government to create a regulatory structure to limit speech online. Since 2016, the left has increasingly espoused a tribal rather than liberal approach to politics. In fighting what they viewed as the threat of fascism and white supremacy, the left decided to, in large part, do away with the basic principles of liberal democracy and to apply different speech rights and even legal rights to different people on the basis of a friend-enemy distinction. All of this is thus bad news for anyone who cares about free speech for all and protecting liberal democracy. It shows that many of the people who are ostensibly committed to free speech, whether on the left or right, really only support it when it's for their group. It reveals that underneath our rationalist minds, there remains a highly tribal reptilian brain. In the face of the horrors that have occurred and those to come, we must not lose our humanity and our principles. It's possible for every one of us to have compassion for innocent people on all sides. It's also possible for every one of us to defend free speech for the views we most abhor. In so doing, we care more, not less, and keep the possibility of peace and security alive, however remote it may be at the moment. I suppose the abandonment of generally accepted principles at a time of crisis can only exacerbate those sense of crises. It's long been obvious to me that principles and values were being weaponized, used to persecute people, to shut down debate, to create conflict. What I suppose we have to look at is how our willingness to put aside our own principles and values when it's convenient to us are likely to affect society as a whole. It's a very difficult thing to hold in your mind and in your heart what it is to observe the sanctity of the individual, the beauty of your individual connection to whatever higher reality or deeper purpose you believe in, and all of our shared duties towards community, whether that's at a local or a global level. The problem I think we're experiencing as culture becomes banalising, anodyne, as well as, curiously, highly conflagratory and conflict-driven, is none of us feel particularly connected to reality anymore. When you are allotted a role in a culture that ultimately leaves you simply as a consumer or an online activist, it's easy to feel disconnected from reality. It's easy to feel disconnected from principles. It's easy to feel disconnected from the environment and conditions that we evolved in. I feel that where possible, we have to look for ways to emulate the conditions
to be involved in. Communities where we understood one another, where we knew that we had a shared purpose, where we recognised there are different tribal groups with whom we have a broader shared purpose. Recently, I heard the phrase, curiously, from one of the creators of Wikipedia, unified but decentralised. It seems to me that if we have true democracy, if we have true individual freedom, if we have true freedom of speech, we are going to be able to create a culture where open conversation, civil disagreement, diplomatic solutions again become possible. The more we're in conflict with one another, the more we're willing to put aside our principles because temporarily it's convenient for us, the more likely it is that the advance of establishment elites that benefit from conflict will continue. The example I used of surveillance being applied to what are regarded as outside, alien or undesirable groups, whether the left, Black Lives Matter, or the right, January 6 protesters, shows you that to the institutions and groups that are truly in power, our division is absolutely vital. Our willingness not to hold fast and firm to principles is a great weapon to people that ultimately benefit from censorship, shutting down of free speech, centralising resources, and passing edicts that bypass democracy entirely. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. See you in a second. Disco Duck 2, Chris Christie is a fat bastard. I watched this Rumble chat with something approaching old, what's he called? Wolf and, he ain't doing too well, like Wolf and Blonde, or not Wolf and Blonde, he's getting some hate, Wolf and Blonde. But this is a free speech platform, so you lot can chat about whatever you want to chat about in there. What do you think about the US dollar again, decentralised by BRIC? Yeah, that's the way it's going. These are the sort of deep geopolitical trends that matter, aren't they, mate? Sort of financial ones, new relationships forming, yeah, Brazil and China around and that is the true direction of power. There's no question. Philippus, you should have Douglas McGregor on. Okay. Is this live now, Jack Desponte? How would I know about you, Jack Desponte? How would I know that Thracian was the next person to post if it wasn't live right now? I'm not your buddy guy. A potentially fair litmus test speech for, litmus test for free speech and censorship should be: you defend the full speech of those who would defend free speech and refuse to defend those who are pro-censorship. Cool, got it. Russell, do an interview with the Lotus Eater, says 709er. All right. Vinci's Prime, $2 donation. Thanks. Remember, they're not fact checkers, they're the narrative control team. That's what's going on. Do you watch Merrick Garden? No, I've not watched that. Would you consider having JC and Hinkle on, says No Javis? Yeah, I would. Wow. What do you think about I told you what I thought about that. They talked about that time was on Morning Joe. Yeah, that was crazy. So listen, right, this story about Australian media and an Australian doctor sort of saying we're not having those mask mandates back, but they're just about enough of that crap. They do it different in Australia. Hey Ashela, hey Tamara Spencer, hey Christina Elise over in the Wake and Wonder chat. Join us over there if you want to. We're going to do an extra 15 minutes on the locals chat. We're going to stay here for a bit longer. We're going to talk about this stuff in Australia. The mask mandates are back and the Australians are pretty pissed about it, I'll tell you that. Then you've got to tell us. Press 1 for a story about a dude in Congress who's been going to dogfights and setting up dogfights. That's 1. 2, dogs in America that are too cute to be used as control dogs. 3, crows, clever crows. And then there's one other one, wasn't there? Was there one other? Like Clever Crows is killing it over in the local chat. Was there one? Just those 3. So 1, dog fighter in Congress. 2, dogs that are too cute to do their jobs because they're so sweet. 3, clever crows. Yeah, the clever crow one is a video. For a minute, we're gonna free. Yeah, a lot of you want the clever crows, but we're gonna just talk about these mask mandates being back in America. Why don't you lot see? Yeah, I know Whitney Webb already. I saw someone chatting about Whitney Webb. I love Whitney Webb. She goes there. I get scared when I talk to Whitney Webb because she just sits there, very relaxed, plain as day. So we're talking about people who went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Terrifying, very frightening to talk to her. She's brilliant, she's scary. Okay, and all right, a lot of you are saying 3. We're going to do a little bit about mask mandates, and then we're going to, I'm just going to ask you all to see if you can peacefully discuss matters in the Middle East. Try and come to a solution. Look into Albert Pike. Yeah, what is Albert Pike? Is he Illuminati? Is that what it is? All right, guys, I'm going to get into this Australian mask mandate story. Let's have a look how they're reporting on the return of mask mandates. It was surprising they're not into it.
Want for Christmas? Masks. Warning it's time to cover up in public gatherings close hospitals and flights amid the nation's 8th COVID wave. Let's bring in today medical expert Dr. Nick Coatsworth in Canberra. Doc, good morning.
Firstly, handsome. If he was in Canada, they'd make him Prime Minister, wouldn't they? Just on the basis of the haircut alone. Amazing looking man. Until they heard his views on COVID, but then it'll be like, no.
To you, is it really necessary?
Carlos, if masks work at all, they only work when you wear them in all situations as part of a suite of measures, including social distancing and movement restrictions, which I can assure you we're not going back to. Now, the AMA has quoted 240...
Just handsome? No. A suite of measures?
55 hospitalisations with COVID in this wave in Queensland. But I want to remind our viewers that there are over 1 million admissions to Queensland hospitals every year. So the suggestion that this is a wave is probably incorrect. We don't need to go back to masks, and we need to remind ourselves that the Australian
Meta Analyst. I finally made it to one of these. Welcome, Meta Analyst. Fun, we chat. We're going to be showing you that crow clip in a minute. I forgot that the farting crow is one of our icons from our friends at Stick a Mule. And I see you lot saying that you've been eating field of greens and it makes you fart. It's a damn good drink.
Medical Association is a political lobby group, not a group of individuals.
Okay, you need to expand on that, because I couldn't agree with you more. And I think, you know, when you talk about waves, the language around all this can sometimes get fanned. It's not right.
That's right, Carl. Let's reassure the public that vaccination works, that COVID is now a milder disease because of what we call herd immunity. We've all been exposed to it. And there are other ways to manage the hospital pressures. Here in Canberra, we use virtual care clinics.
Sounds delicious.
That's right, Kyle.
Hospital in the homes. And frankly, I was on shift yesterday and we had not a single patient with COVID in our acute medical unit.
Vaccinations? Yeah, I see you, Venus Siren, over there in the Awakened London chat on Locals Room. We're going to do an additional 15 minutes over on Locals afterwards. Let's start letting me know what you want us to cover in there. We're doing those crows in a minute. They started off quite hardline, didn't they, saying no masks, but they're getting back on narrative pretty fast.
So I don't think that it's the disaster that's sometimes made out to be, and we need to listen to the right people. Public health physicians, infectious disease physicians.
Good to talk to you, Doc.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Sarah.
Talk to you, Doc.
It didn't work out the first time.
No doubt about
Let's
it.
now turn to Queensland's new COVID alert. People are being asked to mask up.
Masking them again. They're getting masked all over the place. Nah, man. I want to see some crows. I want to see crows demonstrating that they understand water displacement right now. And so do you, because you all voted number 3. Have you seen this video of a crow understanding water displacement? No, I haven't. But by God, I want to. That's what you voted for. That's what you get. No manipulation of democracy here. No faulty Dominion voting machines here. You cast the ballot, that ballot matters. Here's some crows. What is that? Just put those in and it gets a little drink. What a clever, that's so lovely, isn't it? What a beautiful, intelligent bird. Maybe we need to pay attention to these kind of details, the gentle beauty of the world. The crow understanding water displacement helps us, doesn't it? Helps us to go, no, hold on a minute. We've lost our connection to nature and our inner thread of divine beauty that connects us to one another and to the universe. We're trapped in our individual identity, and that's what makes us malleable. If we were just to awaken to the great glory within ourselves, we would be free. We've allowed them to fill us up with hate. Digitacano Hippie says, crows do smart stuff with us. Crows for Biden, someone posted. Like Jones for Jones, like when they fart. Beautiful. But I have to show you now a story. He's like water displacement. Rock water is delicious, says Sanctum 74. And I agree, Russell. Gatorloo 242. Preach, Russell. Thanks. I am preaching. I'm preaching, baby. I'm testifying right now. Let's have a look at this mad. That's lovely. So cute. Let's have a look at this. Have we got Hillary Clinton algorithm? Did we not show that? Did we? Well, maybe. Do you want to see Hillary Clinton? Or do you want to learn about this person in Congress or the Senate who's been getting into dogfighting? I just want to cover it. Oh no. Wait, no, you don't. Where is the dogfighting guy? This is from Carl and Sandy, Pentagon official charged with participating in dogfighting ring. Oh, that's the nice dog.
There was just a trial in Brooklyn.
Don't you dare make a joke about that. That's Hillary Clinton. She's trying her best. Now, let's have a... What's that for? Frederick Douglass Moorfield, Pentagon official charged. He's a Pentagon official, that's what he is. Oh, well, mind you, war is his business, and it's also his hobby. Frederick Douglass Moorfield Jr., 62, of Arnold, I don't know what MD is, you tell me in the chat, was the Deputy Chief Information Officer for Command, Control and Communications for the Secretary of Defense Chief Information. Oh, God, that's a boring job. He was arrested for charge of promoting and furthering an animal fighting venture, along with a long-time friend who allegedly admitted his participation in dogfighting, Mario D. Flive. There he is, a Pentagon official involved in dogfighting. What's up with us? Can we do better than that? Can we improve on Pentagon officials that are into dogfights? I sincerely hope so, guys. Dogs of War Unleashed says more in the chat. So, do you want to see the rest of that Hillary thing? And what about interviewing Rainer Fulmich? Who is Rainer Fulmich? Someone said that in the chat. I will do. So let's have a look at the rest of Hillary on talking about Douglas Mackey. Let's have a look at this. I pressed the wrong button earlier.
There was just a trial in Brooklyn where a guy who had been one of the main, I guess he was one of the main people running memes against me in 2016. He went from what you could consider free speech. I mean, both Nancy and I have pretty thick skins. People say all kinds of things about us.
Oh, she knows about it.
But he went from that to running a...
Doesn't bother me what they say.
Very deliberate effort to mislead people about where and how to vote.
Very deliberate. Did you see what Douglas Mackey did? It was like some sort of dopey meme saying text this number to vote for Hillary. There were other people doing sort of Trump ones. It was basically not a crime against democracy. What's a crime against democracy is, I suppose, the whole Russiagate hoax, the Steele dossier funded by the Clinton campaign, or the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story. So many actual crimes.
So it went from speech to action meant to subvert the election because thousands of people who they targeted through their algorithms.
They targeted them through their algorithms.
Oh, I can text my vote for Hillary Clinton.
So Hillary Clinton, I want to deconstruct that in some greater detail in a minute, but Hillary Clinton apparently took that very seriously. You were using, quote, algorithms to subvert the election with that meme.
I don't even really know what she means by that.
What's worse, is it Douglas Mackey posting that meme on Nancy Pelosi's presumed insider trading? You've seen, right, how often, her husband makes big tech investments are alarmingly successful. I notice you, jiggly bits in the chat. I notice you, says, notice me, Russell, he or she. I heard if you send $100 to the kids in Nigeria, he'll vote for Hillary. T-Funk. Nice joke. So, yeah, there you go, guys. What do you think? Is it like, what's less democratic? Nancy Pelosi using her position within Congress to feed information, presumably to Paul Pelosi, who then invests in the likes of Alphabet or Amazon or Apple or whatever? Or is it dear old Douglas Mackey posting harmless memes that, I don't think it matters if people post like memes about like Trump or Hillary Clinton. What's more important? Let me know in the chat, you lot. Over in the Awaken Wonder chat. Oh, Dawn 1. Nancy is a bitch sneaking around. I like that. Nancy Pelosi, there's a unanimous condemnation of the crisis within systemic democracy, the inability of ordinary people to have any real access. I'll tell you what, can we show the trailer? We got the trailer. Because tomorrow on the show, we've got Alex Jones.
Oh, yeah. AJ, tomorrow. I'm Russell. I don't know why I just froze. That's weird. That's odd, I see. guys. Depending on how busy I am when I first get in there, who knows? I may not
Round
do
one.
a stream
We're
till
going to be
later.
talking to Alex about predictions he made that came true. We're going to be talking to him about why independent voices get targeted. And was Alex Jones the first of those voices that got targeted? We talk about the mistakes Alex Jones has made. All of us have made mistakes. Everyone's made mistakes. We talk about Rogan and Tucker. We talk about prophecies and mysticism. You will love it. Do we have a trailer for it? Okay. Well, I'd love to show you that. And we're going to do an extra 15 minutes over on Locals if you want to join us for that. A lot of you are extremely impressed by the crows. I think that crows, you want to see David Icke? You want to see David Icke? Is that what you want? Well, let's see if we can get him. Thank you for your efforts. The left is psychotic. I tell you what, I think what we have to do here in this chat, in this little forum, is we have to get beyond the divisions of left and right. We have to acknowledge that there is a requirement for an movement, that we have to be willing to form alliances with people that have different cultural views than us. We have to make democracy local. We have to explore the principle of subsidiarity. That means localizing power, creating true democracy, where centralized authority is limited and confronted and ultimately
removed,
brought down.
There you go.
Hey, so yeah, we've got that's my dog. Come over here. What's the matter? Why are you doing that? Come see me. There. Come over. Come here. What's the matter? Why are you complaining for? What's the matter? Come here. At least be on camera if you're going to cause all this trouble. Come here. Come here. Good boy. Isn't he a beautiful animal? So listen, you guys, do you have a trailer? If it's not there now, then it's too late. All right, listen, we're going to go over to Locals now. You guys, all you got to do is ready. Let's have a look at the trailer for tomorrow's show for Alex Jones. A taste of what's coming up. You'll enjoy this. Let's have a look.
You're telling me it isn't real when they had a vote in the goddamn Senate? 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
I wonder if you ever feel fracture and crisis within yourself. I wonder if you've ever felt hopeless and desperate.
God touched me and said, you really want to be evil? And I had a lot of really intense nightmares and just a feeling of being alone. But this and that is going to happen. You're going to go through a lot of pain to do it, but you're going to help trigger the Great Awakening. Piles of manipulative, lying crap! You cowards! Excuse me.
What do we do about the people that hear the name Alex Jones think, oh, you know, Sandy Hook? I can't imagine it's very easy to be you.
I didn't say
the name
Sandy Hook
Talk to you later.
2 years
Thanks for the ride.
before I was sued.
Do you feel that you arm your detractors